Okay, so for those of you that are regular room members with me, you know that we have a couple of different things that we come up with every day. One of those things that we come up with is on your 5-minute chart, or on my 5-minute chart, we place a what we call the OTG support and resistance indicator. That support and resistance indicator is basically the information that I derive after going through a process that I'm going to show you here today. So my expectation level is not that you walk away from this discussion with a 100% absolute grasp of the exact to the tick support and resistance levels that I come up with. That's not my objective here. My objective here is to simply give you a broad-based idea of how I determine market state from a higher time frame down to the lower time frames. Now, I have given you on the website, I have given you a training manual that also supports what it is that I just described. So if you take a look at that training manual, I think it's called Top-Down Analysis. That basically is going to give you a decent understanding of the way that I go through the process. Now, I think the first area on that in that manual, it says monthly charts. You could look at the monthly charts. I used to look at the monthly charts. I really start now with the weekly charts, and we look at that process for there. So let's kind of go through this here really quickly. Okay, so again, when looking for market state, you need to start from the top down. Many times when we're in the trading room together, I hear people say, especially new guys, people that are joining us for the first time, they'll say things like, well, why are you getting short when the market is clearly long here, when the trend is clearly up? Why are you getting short when the trend is clearly short here today? Well, it may be short on that small, or the long may be up, right? I mean, the trend may be long on the small time frame, but in that bigger picture perspective and in the bigger part of the day, really the market state may be short, right? The overall market trend may be bearish. Today is going to be a really good example. I'm going to show you some of the analysis that I did. I actually did it this morning prior to the start of the trading session here today. And so, I did it on the CL, and I'm going to show you exactly what it is that I'm talking about when I say that I get guys that will ask me, do you have a short bias when the market is clearly long? So again, when looking for market state and trying to understand what state or condition that the market is in, you have to start from the top and work yourself down. So again, start your analysis with your big picture time frame. So the first set of charts that I start with is the weekly chart. All right? So let's take a look here. Let me scroll this in a little bit. Can you see this a little bit better here? Can you see that a little bit easier here? And I'll work through this here. So this is your weekly chart. It's your CL continuous contract. So in your NinjaTrader, you can select the continuous contract. And what you have here is over the course of, let's see, this is over the course, October 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Okay, so this is really big picture, right? Weekly chart over the course of 5 years. Our oil, you could see, is in this slightly rising wedge pattern. If you come back in let's talk about what that pattern is. You have a series of lower highs that I have highlighted here in purple, that I have circled here in purple. Underneath it, I have a series of higher lows. And so there is a slightly up-angled rising wedge here with this series of higher lows, right? But you do have some lower highs. So you do have a slightly upward, and you can see this upward trend here, and you can see this on your 200 period SMA, right? That's what the red line represents. If you zero in here, and one of the things that we talk about are chart patterns, you have this M formation, right? You have this little bit of an M formation that has now broken this trend line here, broke the 200 period SMA, and we also have broken this trend line here on your weekly chart. So this represents this little area right here, and let's zoom in again here. This little area represents, this is your weekly chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 5 weeks here, right? And so based on this last 5 weeks, you have this little rotation to the downside. You've got a nice M pattern here, right? And you've broken this trend line and your 200 period SMA. So right now on the weekly chart, we are primarily in neutral here, right? Because it's not really breaking the trend line till you get down here, this bigger trend line. But you have broken through the 200 period SMA. You did break through this minor trend line here, and you've got a neutral to slightly bearish pattern developing here on your weekly chart, at least the way that I see it. So in my mind, I'm looking at this chart as being neutral to slightly bearish. Do you guys see all that? And why I feel that way about this particular chart? Okay, cool. Any questions before I move on why and how I got here? Okay, cool. All right. So no questions. All right, so let's go back here now and let's pull back into here and let's go into the next chart. So the next chart I begin to look at is your daily chart. So again, neutral to slightly bearish on your big picture time frame. Over the last 5 weeks, we have broken underneath the 200 period SMA, and we had a trend line that shows us that we have broken through it. So let's take a look at your daily chart. Okay, so the daily chart is the next one that we come into focus with, and here is your daily chart going back for, and this is October here. October to October is basically 1 year. Okay, so what you see on this chart is I have begun to I drew basically a descending channel here, right? That's a bearish pattern. You're ricocheting between 2 points, but really everything is on the move down. You've got lower highs and lower lows developing here. So again, a descending trend channel here, making me or causing me to feel like that we are in a bearish trend here. Now, you've seen that I've drawn a few support and resistance levels on the chart, major support and resistance levels on the chart here. So this top line, you could see we broke through it. I drew one down here where we had come back into the past, and we rotated around it here back in August, late July and into August, and then we have found support back here at this price action level back here. So these are now support levels on your chart. Now, if you'll take note, this is also a 200 period SMA, and you can see that this 200 period SMA is basically just sideways action here, right? So if you were to look just simply at this, you would go, well, there's not much direction based on this SMA, but the fact that we've broken down through it, we have found, going back a year, we have found a couple of major support and resistance lines, and we have now rotated and broken through those, and we are in a descending channel here. This tells me, from the bigger picture perspective, we were neutral to slightly bearish. We have more bearish confirmation here on the daily chart. So my assessment of market state on your daily chart is bearish. Does that make sense? You see how I got here? Okay. I'm going to just a little feedback just so I can make sure we're all connected here. So is that okay? Cool. Very good. I just want to make sure we're all connected here. You don't have, not everybody has to answer, but I just want to make sure that we're all still connected. Okay. All right. So next slide here. We go from your daily chart. I will then go from our daily chart into our 60-minute chart. Okay. So weekly chart, daily chart. Now let's take a look at our 60-minute chart. By the way, I was using the continuous contract on CL. I was using the continuous contract to do that analysis. Now I'm going to switch into the 60-minute chart. Let's take a look at it. And I am using the current month contract here on your 60-minute chart. And so for those of you that are regular room members, you know I have that OTG support and resistance indicator. I'll show you that again here in a minute. But that is where I'll put all of these major support and resistance levels. And sometimes you probably look at that chart and go, holy cow, where does he come up with all of these levels? And boy, it looks like there's just levels all over the chart. And how do you ever make a decision? And all of those kinds of things, right? But there is truly a method to the madness. In fact, I want to go back here just really quickly because I changed the colors on a couple of these lines. So we're going to go back just really quickly here, back to that daily chart. Okay. So you see I have three major levels here. 104. I have this level here at this. Hang on a second. This I need to move. See if I can move this here. Oops. Sorry about that. Give me a second, guys. Okay. I have this level here at just under 98, and then I have a level here at 91.55. Okay, so these are the three major levels on your daily chart. So what I then do from here is I will then move these over to the next chart that you're going to see, which is the 60-minute chart. So I have these major levels here, and I say, okay, these are key levels from my daily chart. Now let's move those into your 60-minute chart. Ken and John, does this start, or Ken specifically, does this start sounding very familiar? Okay, so I said I had one level at 104 up here, right? So there's the level up top at 104 from your daily chart. Here is the level at 98 on your the other major level, and then I had one down at 91.51-ish. Sorry, 91.71-ish, I think is what it was. Anyway, we're right here, and today's break point for us here this morning, and again, I did this early in the morning. This was 91.80s, 91.70s, 91.80s here on the 60-minute chart. So again, 60-minute chart. Now, this chart looks way more bearish than that weekly chart, right? So the weekly chart was neutral to slightly bearish. The daily chart looked bearish. This chart looks way bearish, right? In my opinion. So it looks very much like we are, this is very much like we are headed to the downside. All right, David, we'll see you. We'll get your recording out here to you. So again, high, lower high, lower high, lower high as we head into today's trading action. Today's trading action is right here in this area, right around 91.61. Our center point was 90. What was our center point today here? Let me go back. Our center point was in this area here at, hang on a second, 91.00. So right in this area, we had our break point today at 91.81 right up here. So this is today's action. Now, what you will notice also is I did put on this 60-minute chart, I put our 70.5 here, right? Our 70.5 down here at 90.64. So even though overall we are in a bearish descent here on the 60-minute chart, we know that price does not go down forever, right? Price doesn't go down forever. And so we got down into the retracement here, and right around 2 o'clock this morning, there was a 70.5 right at 90.64. And I believe that occurred right around, actually that occurred yesterday, I believe, 90.64 occurred in yesterday's trading session. So again, we got right down into that area. We dug a little bit deeper here, and then we've begun our march back up over our center point and into this area. So what I would have been expecting today and what I would have been looking for here today on this chart is a 70.5 somewhere in this 93 area for the market to come down, somewhere in this 93 area for the market to react. Did that actually occur? I don't know. Let's pull up this chart here on your 5-minute and see if that actually occurred today. So again, if you measured from, we said around the 93 area. No, we only got up to the 92.14 area on the day. So we didn't quite get back up into that neighborhood today. But again, my assessment here on this 60-minute chart is that we are squarely in the bullish, or